Welcome to Spanish. We're two expats, one from Norway, one from the US, sharing our experiences of living in Spain. Whether you're thinking about moving here, already living abroad, or just curious about Spanish culture, we've got insights, stories, and tips for you. So today we are going to talk about Semana Santa, a really relevant topic because we are in the Holy Week now.
As we speak, yeah.
But before we start talking about it, how have you been since we last spoke?
How have I been? I've been good. I haven't had any crazy experiences. To be fair, I've been kind of like deep diving into work. The weather has been a bit mixed as well. So spending a tad less time outside, more inside.
I feel like we've changed the roles from last time because I tried calçots over the weekend.
Hey, you did? How was it?
They were delicious.
Mhm. Were they
And
barbecued?
black. My hands were black after we
So
got done.
So, like, you hold them, peel them by hand, and then you dip it in the sauce.
The romesco, yeah.
The mezco. It is so good. And for me, half the taste is just the calzots being black. And they're not black on the inside, obviously. It's
Right,
just
right.
the outer. And you peel them. But it's something about the aroma, I guess. It's
It's like
just...
barbecued onions. It's literally just onion, right? I don't think it's
Is
anything
it?
special. Green
Is it?
onion.
Is it though? Because I thought it, but taste-wise, it didn't really feel like it. But I guess that's because it was barbecued.
The way that they cook it, yeah.
Yeah. No, without the sauce, it's not much
It would be
to write
nothing,
home
yeah.
about. Yeah.
Well, everyone makes fun of me because I don't love to eat meat. And they're like, Molly, this is perfect. You know, it's usually chorizo and a
The
huge rack
serrano
of
and...
ham and all this meat. And they were like, this is the perfect meal for Molly.
And was it though? Was
Yeah,
it the
but
perfect
it's...
meal? Yeah.
Then they brought out a bunch of meat. They brought out rabbit. I ate rabbit
Oh,
without knowing
you
it.
ate it? A rabbit or hare? Yeah, you ate it?
Yes. They brought out the leg. So I thought it was just a chicken leg. And then on the way home, I was like, I didn't like the meat. And they were like, that was conejo.
I've only had conejo once. It was part of a soup. Like, it wasn't barbecued. It was like, I guess they like cooked it or something and then threw it in the soup, and it didn't taste much, to be honest.
Yeah.
It wasn't good, it wasn't bad. It was just meat. That's it.
Well, yeah. When they
The one
cook
I
it,
had. Yeah.
I bet in a stew, like in a soup, it would be fine. But because, yeah, it didn't have a taste. But we were cutting at the leg and there was no meat. So
Mm.
that should have been my first red flag.
Okay, so thumbs up for calzots, thumbs down for the conejo.
Correct. And I tried, oh my God, how do you say it? The snails.
Oh, I forgot the word as well. But yeah,
We
wait.
just talked about
Snails en español. Caracoles.
caracoles. Yes. I tried one caracole and it was disgusting. I regret it.
I'll give you this. You're very open-minded when it comes to food. You don't seem very hesitant to try anything.
You called me
get served.
picky last time.
Well, maybe I changed my mind.
Now I'm open-minded.
Well,
Yeah,
you
I tried
try
everything.
them. Like,
Yeah.
you might not like it, but you try it. So you can be picky, but adventurous.
Yes.
Can we say that? Yeah.
Yes. I felt adventurous.
Mm.
And then I went to the dentist yesterday, my second time in Spain.
How was that?
It was so much better. The first time I went by myself after a few months of living here, and I was terrified. The dentist here is different than in the US, of
Yeah.
course. And I almost signed to get my teeth whitened because I had no idea what the doctors were telling me. They were just trying to sell me a teeth whitener, and
Really? That didn't happen to me when I went, but I guess they could tell I wasn't in the mood for buying teeth whitening either. So,
well, I had said yes, apparently. The doctor was speaking super fast, and I
Yeah.
was just agreeing to everything they were saying. So this time I was much better. I was more calm. I even asked questions instead of just being... Yeah. It was good. It was good to compare. Seeing my life at the last visit, I'm a different person now.
Dude, you're just grabbing Spain by the like. I'm impressed.
I'm very proud of myself.
You should be. Well done to that as well.
Okay, but anything you would like to add to
Nothing
comment?
more to add. I'm just excited to talk about Semana Santa.
Yeah.
Should we just give like a short rundown of
What
what
it
is
is.
Semana Santa? Semana Santa in Spain, the basics. What is it? A week-long series of procession leading up to Easter Sunday, commemorating the passion, death, and resurrection of Christ. AKA, you see people in the street. I wouldn't call it a parade per se, but they have their small groups where they carry religious floats with statues of Jesus, Virgin Mary, etc., etc. So the
It's like a
vibe,
retelling of Jesus, of the story of Easter, right?
it is.
Basically.
Yeah, it is like the passion, death, and resurrection of Christ. So the vibe, it's dramatic, solemn, kind of visually striking, and we'll get back to the hooded penitents, also called the Nazarenos. Like these are candlelit processions depending on when and where you are, and it's just really different and visually interesting experience for a foreigner, at least someone like me who's not from a Catholic country.
Yeah. I would say it's easily one of the coolest things I've experienced here. So I'm excited to talk about it.
It is. So that's Easter in Spain. Paula, let's go.
Yeah, let's start with food
Mm.
because everyone loves to talk about Spanish food and debate it.
Forget about the religious part and the heritage. What are we gonna eat?
So, have you tried torrijas?
Oh yeah, 100%. I was surprised to learn that that is very Semana Santa centered because I have eaten it all year round. With that said, I have noticed recently on Instagram there's a bigger focus on where do you get the best torrijas in Alicante, etc., etc. So yes, I've had it and I love it, especially with a scoop of ice cream on the side.
So, when you say you have it all year around, do you make it yourself?
No, I've had it at restaurants. I've never thought that you could not get it quote unquote off season. I feel it's an option very often.
I like it. Basically, it's Spanish French toast.
A bit bigger and messier, I would say, the Spanish version. But yeah, it's a French toast.
And you can eat it hot or cold.
Have you bought them cold?
Yes.
But at a restaurant or a deli?
No, just like a deli, and you go pick it up. And I guess you could heat it up, but I've eaten it cold and I thought it was good.
I've eaten it cold because it went cold. Like I bought it as a dessert and always with other people. It's always a shared dessert. Again, with a scoop of ice cream or something on the side.
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite of these.
I always feel so guilty when I eat it because it's so big, it's so sweet, it's so calorie
I've had
dense.
small ones. So
Yeah, but
maybe
still, it's like okay. I know there's no bad food, but if there were, this would be one of them. I don't think this is on any sport nutritionist's diet plan.
Well, that can take us to the next one. Have you had pestiños?
Never. I had to Google it.
Okay. Pestiños, to me, they're much sweeter and really fried. They're bad for you, definitely. Worse for you than torrijas, I would say.
Like, are they padded in sugar? It kind of looks like it, judging by the photos.
In honey.
In honey, okay. But are they sticky? Are they dry?
Sticky, yeah.
Okay. Well, it doesn't sound that far off from torrijas, to be honest. Is it drier though?
Yeah, dry. It's more like how would I describe it? It's definitely drier. It's not bread. It's like a thin piece of dough fried.
It's like a dry cookie. Could you compare it to that?
Yes. Yeah. A cookie covered in honey. It's very sweet. You'll have to try it this year.
I have to.
Next, potaje de vigilia. Vigilia?
Is that also a Sevilla dish? Never heard of it either.
I'm not sure. I've never had it, but potaje.
Then why did you put it on the list if you never had it?
To see if you'd had it.
Yeah, but where did you find it? Like, how did you learn about it?
On Google. So it's something that's eaten on Good Friday because on Fridays during this time of year, you're not allowed to eat meat. You can have fish.
I did not know that.
This is a typical dish for Good Friday, apparently. And it has chickpeas, spinach, cod, garlic, and sometimes a boiled egg.
I think I'm gonna try it. It sounds nice. Like the
Yeah,
salted cod, maybe a bit too much, despite that I like cod. But yeah, sounds
I'm
like a
sure they
good
make it
dish.
without. Yeah. Next, bacalao.
Yeah, on the topic of cod. Fun fact, in Norway, if you order bacalao, like you say the word bacalao, you don't say cod, they will give you a dish that is a pot, lots of liquid, kind of like a tomato sauce, cod, obviously, sliced potato, and onions. That's bacalao. So when I first came to Spain, I saw bacalao on the menu. I was like, oh, I want that dish. Ordered it, and then I just got a piece of cod with some vegetables. I'm like, where's the sauce? Where's the pot thing?
Interesting. Yeah. So it's like an actual dish
It
from where
is.
you're from. Yeah.
Yeah. And whenever I say it to people back home and like, did you know bacalao is just cod? They're like, what? Yeah.
I'm surprised that you have that word there.
Well, there was a lot of Portuguese people back in the day that came up to Norway. And I think something happened along the way there.
That's a story for another time.
Yeah. A lot happened, but yeah, let's save it for another day.
Yeah. Okay. And then there's another one, Monas de Pascua. Have you had that?
I think I have. They're pretty similar to the Roscon de
Roscon.
Reyes. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've tried it?
I think I have, but like bland pastry like that, it's not something that I lie awake dreaming of. Like if it's at a dinner or
Yeah.
a social event, I'm more than happy to eat it. But I don't go to stores and buy that kind of bakery stuff usually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I should this year. How about you? Have you tried it?
I've never tried it. No.
No.
But seeing as that it's typical in Valencia, I wondered if you had tried it before.
I'm gonna go to a bakery and look for it. Or just Mercadona, as I always do.
I'm sure they have it. They have a torrija, like all the ingredients in one spot, the bread and the cinnamon and everything you need to make it in one little display.
I
It's kind of
haven't.
cute. Okay, that's all the typical foods.
Well, what about the buñuelos? Have you tried them?
I have in Valencia when I
Yeah.
went there, but I didn't know that it was a Semana Santa thing.
Me neither, but it's just batter. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of different dishes that, for a ignorant foreigner, will seem pretty similar to buñuelos. We can conclude there are several dishes that consist solely of batter, fried batter.
Okay, so next, let's talk about the different parts of Semana Santa. You mentioned earlier the one thing that I think is the most shocking is seeing the Nazarenos, the people that have the tunic and the covering over their head with the long triangle shape.
Yeah, like the cones.
For me, coming from the US, it was extremely shocking because from what I know, it's the KKK.
Yeah,
Do you know the KKK and all that history?
through American culture, Norwegians are very aware of KKK. So when we come here and we see the procesiones with the cone-shaped hats, yeah, that's immediately what we think of. Like, broader perspective, it's not the first time that you have people stealing symbols or way of dressing from other.
Right.
This is like the perfect example of something good that was turned so bad that when you see it from the outside, it's just like next
Like
level.
worldwide
Yeah,
almost.
worldwide. I would actually yeah, and I would compare it to how the Nazis stole the swastika. Like, I don't know how many places and culture contexts where you can find it. Like the swastika, you have it in Hinduism. I saw it on a lot of buildings when I was in Mumbai. Same as with Norse mythology. You have it, but flip the other way around. But no one thinks of that. They just think of the Nazis. And outside of Spain, I think that's the deal with the cone-shaped hats or hoods, to be specifically. Like everyone outside of Spain, they just think of KKK.
Yeah. The bad sticks more than the good.
They do.
So yeah, seeing that, that was the first thing that caught my attention was the capirotes, they call them. The
Capirotes.
cone-shaped hoods. My boyfriend was actually a Nazareno in Sevilla when he was younger.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it. Sometimes the Nazarenos don't wear shoes. They go barefoot in the street to walk.
Mm.
And he said one year he went just in socks.
He went in socks.
He
So
just
it's
wore socks.
so yeah. I guess that's a light protection instead of just going barefoot. But
Barefoot.
still, it's not shoes.
Right.
Did he mention why they do it?
So the Nazarenos represent sinners. They are asking for forgiveness for all the sins that they have committed.
Mm.
And so that's their way of showing that they're sorry for what they've done. It's more symbolic than anything, but yeah, they go all out for this time of year, for this 1 week.
Can I ask how many years he did it and how young he was when he first did it? I'm curious. Like, my impression, this is something I see people in their late teens and older do. I don't see young teenagers, and definitely not preteens or children do.
I think he was fairly young. I've seen photos of him and he looked to be less than 10 years old.
What? Really?
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He started young.
Yeah.
And he was explaining to me that some of the hermandades, the brotherhoods,
Mhm.
allow younger people, but some of them don't. So he was part of one that allowed younger people.
Okay, so it depends, I guess. Just to understand, how do one get into a brotherhood? Is it usually via friends, network, family?
So you have to pay
Mhm.
a monthly fee to be in the brotherhood. And then if you want to participate in Semana Santa and be a Nazareno or just be a part of the procession,
Mhm.
you have to pay extras, I think. I think
Oh,
that's what he said.
So it's a different fee. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Obviously, there's money that goes to the outfits, the clothing, the what do you call it? The things they carry around.
The paso? The big
The
thing?
paso, yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
referring to.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I'm Norwegian, still kind of ignorant to who does what in these processions. So when I ask questions, I might be mixing
Confusing.
what
Yeah.
different brotherhoods do and stuff, because I know the one that goes with the cones. I never see them actually carry any of the pasos. But for me, it's like just
Right.
one desfile, like one big quote unquote parade.
Yeah.
You just kind of like mishmash everything together in your head.
Right, right. The Nazarenos don't carry the paso, but we'll get to that. So I feel like I'm giving a class on Semana Santa and I'm not qualified.
Yeah, we're ignorant foreigners. This is our perspective. Full disclosure. No
Yes.
advice. Don't quote us. Don't use this in any assignment. If anything, just had it. Like, be curious and do your own research. Okay, go.
Correct, correct. So the hermandades is the brotherhood, and then the cofradia is the procession itself. So procession and cofradia are synonymous.
Okay.
Okay. And so you have to be in a club, you have to be in the brotherhood, and you pay fees. And then there's people called costaleros. And the costaleros are the people that hold the paso.
They are the one that holds the pasos.
Yes.
Okay, for someone listening, what's a paso?
A paso is it's a large
Can we
scene.
Can we call it a float that instead of on a car, someone actually carry them?
I would say like a platform.
A platform, yeah.
It's a platform with scenes from Semana Santa. So on Palm Sunday, the Sunday before, they have happy ones of him coming into the city and everyone's, happy. The figures are smiling. But we're getting off track.
And then there's other days where everything's super sad. You see Virgin Mary crying. You see Jesus not being super content upon the float as well.
He's like frowning or crying so they all have different personalities, but every hermandade has a virgin and a Jesus. So each one should have one of each, and some of them have a third. In Sevilla. So we're talking about Sevilla because that's all I know.
Sevilla. Yeah. And quick description of the things that you said. Same in Guardamar, where I used to live, a small pueblo outside of Torrevieja. And the very, very simplified description of how a foreigner will see this take place is that they will lock off the main streets in the city center or pueblo center. There will be a lot of people just standing looking at the the scenes taking place, and there's a lot of seated chairs. I think you can reserve and pay to have your seat and just sit
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. In Sevilla, I think it's expensive,
Oh,
but
yeah, Sevilla, they're so extravagant, I have no doubt.
yeah. Okay, so the costaleros are the people that carry the paso,
Mm.
the figures of Jesus and the virgins. And this is something I'm not sure, but in Sevilla, all of the costaleros are underneath and they train the whole year for it.
Underneath in it's over them or they're
It's
carrying
resting
it
on the back of their neck.
really
Yes.
on the back of their neck, because if I remember correctly, what I've seen in Guatemala, they always carried it on the side. They weren't walking under,
Right.
but maybe I'm
No, no. So
remember it
I think
incorrectly.
it seems like all the other cities, they stand outside of it. But in
Mm.
Sevilla, as far as I know, all of them are underneath.
That is really impressive because to give context to people outside, the pasos are really heavy. And
Very.
the people carrying them, they need to walk synchronized.
Right. One unit, because there's candles on top of the paso. There's
Mm.
really expensive relics of Jesus and the virgins,
And
you
if
know.
someone starts falling, then you're doomed.
Yeah. And the crazy part is that some of the processions last 8 to 12 hours. The longer ones last 12
Oof,
hours.
that is long, yeah.
So, yeah. So, in order to be a costalero, you cannot just join, they have to choose you. So, it's a position that's more difficult to get. You have to be strong. You have to be chosen,
Handsome
basically.
and popular, yeah. Have influence within the club, town hall.
Right. Well, it's kind of like that in Sevilla anyway. You have a lot of weight if you're part of the Hermandad.
It's its own niche part of society with a lot
Yeah.
of culture, heritage, and historical importance. I totally get it and respect it, despite being pretty ignorant about the ins and outs of it.
Yeah. Yeah. In Sevilla, the costaleros, I think it's more work because they're just like resting all the weight on the back of their neck.
I'm 100% sure they have special physical therapists working with the costaleros. They probably even have proper exercises ramping up and then like a week of rest or something right before.
I think they practice all year
They
round.
do. Yeah?
A few months ago, when I was in Sevilla with my friend visiting
Mm.
from the US, we saw a paso practicing. They were in the street and
Really? With had they locked off a street? Were they in like
no,
a
there were
calm
cars that
neighborhood? Oh,
we were in the city center, and they were just, I think you just know that that can happen, especially
mm.
when they're preparing for Semana Santa. And yeah, it was very interesting
When in
to see.
Sevilla, yeah.
Those are the main parts, the main players.
The main players. And are you going to see anything in Madrid this year?
Probably not. In Madrid, it's different because they block you off. So in Sevilla, you can be literally right up next to it and you
Mm.
can touch the paso. But I know in Madrid, with everything they do here, they fence it off. So you're so far from it.
Here in Alicante, I think it will be similar to Sevilla that you're not that far. Like if you really want to touch a paso, you can run over to it. They will probably chase you away, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's more chill vibes here.
Yeah. It's not that I want to touch it.
Now I want to touch it.
Since I've already experienced it in Sevilla, I just feel like it wouldn't do it any justice. But we'll see.
I don't know either, to be honest. I'm not that hyped up about it. I like that it's gonna sound so basic, but I like that they do things. I like that they block off the street. There's parades. If it's for religious reasons or not, I don't care that much about it. I just like seeing people celebrating culture and life.
Is the Holy Week a big deal in Norway?
People will take time off. They have the same bank holidays, I think, as they have here in Spain. I'm not sure if it's Thursday and Friday and then Monday, but I noticed that a lot of people in my family, they've taken a whole week off, the whole this week.
Okay. But
So
do they do anything special in
no,
to celebrate?
yeah, that's what I was gonna say, is that they don't do anything special other than take time off. If
Okay.
you're religious, you might do something related with church or meetup, but there's nothing going on in the streets. There's no tradition of, well, there will be fireworks or there will be a procession. There's no pasos. There's nothing like
Mhm.
that in Norway at all. And probably that's why I like seeing different kinds of quote unquote parades here in Spain, because I didn't grow up with it.
Yeah. Well, in the US, I would say the week before, the leading up to it is not celebrated at all. I mean, you can go to church if you're religious, but
Mhm.
the big thing is Easter Sunday, and it's all about the Easter bunny. It's all about finding eggs and
Yeah, we had the same in Norway as well. Where's the Easter bunny? Where's the eggs? I am still in doubt of why does the bunny exist. I did read some stories about something and then I
the
forgot.
origin
Yeah, the origin
of
of
the
the
Easter
Easter bunny.
bunny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure the origin story.
But we like the Easter bunny and we love the eggs. Oh my god, I want an Easter egg now. With like my mom, she would always, for me and my sister, buy or reuse these cardboard eggs with different decorations painted or printed on them, and she would just fill it up with different kinds of candy, and you would just have that egg through the Holy Week like that. That's what you got. So
Uh,
you needed to be sure that it lasted the whole week.
okay, so you got it the Sunday before.
I
The,
don't remember the exact day, but yeah, more or less. It's like, okay, we're taking time off school. Here's a Easter egg. Happy Easter. Maybe we'll go cross country skiing or spend some time in the snow or something like that. And then you have your Easter egg. And we always eat oranges in Norway in Easter. It's like a big thing. Sitting out in the snow and just eating an orange and a piece of chocolate, and you have the egg. My generation, we didn't go hunting for the Easter egg, but the next generation, they do. Like I see
okay,
kids do that now, but it wasn't a thing when I grew up. You just got it handed to you without any effort.
sure. Yeah. We did hunting for the eggs, and we also got baskets,
Baskets?
like a basket of candy.
Wait,
That was
wait, wait,
like
wait. So
the.
you had the egg filled with candy in addition to the basket?
No, the eggs are just little plastic eggs that have
Mm-hmm.
something in them. And then they.
Like the Nestle
Then.
eggs, or
No, they're just pieces of plastic that have candy put inside them or
so it's not
money.
like the Kinder eggs. Yeah, okay.
No, no, yeah, it's not edible.
Don't eat the eggs. Okay.
Right. And they're usually bright colors so that you can find them in the grass.
Yeah.
So we would do like Easter egg hunts. Actually, Easter used to be my favorite holiday.
Yeah.
As a kid, it was definitely my favorite. I don't know why. I think because the weather was starting to get better. I just liked finding the eggs.
For me, Easter in Norway, it was like the 10% Christmas. It's just like a mini, mini, mini Christmas way after Christmas. It's just like an
Yeah,
excuse
yeah.
to eat some lamb and take some time off. Okay, this is so off topic, but I learned yesterday that Kinder eggs, you know which one? Like they're chocolate, brown chocolate on the outside, white on the inside. And then you have like the small orange container with like a small toy inside of that again. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yesterday I learned, and it hasn't occurred to me still, it's kind of crazy, that the orange container represents the yolk in the egg. My mind was blown. I was like,
Is it
that's
a
why it's
circle?
orange? It's
No, it's like
almost
egg shaped, right?
kind of, yeah. It's like a hybrid between a cylinder and a circle or like a ball. So it's not egg shaped, the yolk itself.
Hmm. I didn't know that either.
And your mind isn't blown? Like, come on. I spent 37 years looking at those eggs before I realized, that's the yolk inside.
No, because we didn't have Kinder. Kinder was like for rich people. We had Hershey's.
Like for me, that's for rich people because you need to import it.
And the same for us. Kinder was important. The things you learn in your 30s.
Yeah, I know. The surprises just keeps on coming. Okay, is there anything we should circle back to in relations to Semana Santa?
Let's see. When was your first Semana Santa experience? How long was it your first year living here?
It was spring 2019. That was my first experience.
And what was that like?
Obviously, you noticed the cone-shaped hoods. It was more, for some reason, the procession, like the very ignorant explanation when Jesus is about to die, like that day when all the figurines like kind of represents that. I was surprised by the heavy mood of people and the whole parade in itself. Like I keep using the word parade, but it's not correct because a parade it's music, brass band, and
Happy,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, but this is like their mourning.
Yeah.
And I was also baffled how many people were participating because I don't know, this is kind of ignorant, but for me, whenever there's something traditional going on, you see old people do it, either because younger people have stopped doing it or you reach a certain age or phase of your life where you want to kind of dip your toes more into the culture heritage.
Right.
But here, young people participate in it, which is admirable and unexpected for me.
It's very Spanish, I feel.
It's very Spanish, yeah, in
Yeah.
all the right ways, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Spanish people love to have traditions and they hold on tight to them, and you start from birth.
Mm-hmm.
It's an event that everybody participates in no matter how old you are.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't see too many people really, really old participating. Maybe they'll watch it. But the thing is that there's crowds of people that you would get trampled, I think, as an older person.
I would say in Guatemala, the small town inhabitants, maybe like 10,000,
Yeah.
there were a lot of like old people,
Really?
like spectators,
Yeah,
people
yeah.
sitting in the chairs. And you need them as well. If there's no spectators, who are you walking for besides yourself?
Right.
They're equally important.
That is true.
So you're more psyched up about Semana Santa in Sevilla in comparison to Madrid, if I understand you correctly.
Yes, I think it's just more exciting. Although we decided not to go this year because I've already seen it once. So I went last year for the first time and it rained a lot last year. A lot of the pasos didn't even go out because the things that are on top of the pasos are very expensive. They're
Mm.
thousands and thousands of dollars worth of gold or silver. The figures are very expensive. So then there was actually someone that was holding an umbrella above the Virgin last year.
Yeah.
That was his job.
Here's my observation. Climate really dictates or shapes society.
Mm-hmm.
For them to have as a tradition to bring out into the streets for many hours things that cannot withstand rain. Like in Norway,
Yeah.
whatever you're going to bring out into a parade, it either needs to withstand the rain or you will just accept that it will like dissolve there right on the
Right.
spot because rain is part of life. Like the
Right.
probability of rain is so high, you should just take into account like it will rain, and if it doesn't, cool. Or
Yeah.
here, it's like, let's cancel culture events because it's raining.
Yeah.
Like the probability of rain is so low, talking about southern parts of Spain, obviously.
Mm.
They can take the risk to have figurines, statues, pasos, the whole shebang. That doesn't really work in rain.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an interesting thing. And I see myself canceling my plans as well alongside of other Spaniards when it starts to rain. Not that I have too many figurines that I bring out into the streets, but society slows down when it gets wet here.
Yeah. It's not as common to have rain. So yeah, some of them decided not to go out. It rained every day in Semana Santa last year.
Were you seated somewhere to look at all the things going on, or were you just walking around in the streets kind of just...
We just walked around.
Yeah.
Because my boyfriend knows. So there's 37, well, more than that now, but there's 37 original hermandades, so processions. So they leave a church, their church, And
Hermandades,
then,
that's brotherhoods. Yeah.
right, the cofradías, they start at their church and then they leave out the doors of their church, go to the cathedral, the main cathedral in the city center, and then
Mm.
make a circle back. So that's their trajectory, their path. And he knows based on, like, he had the schedule and he knew where to go and look because he knew about how long it would take. So
Mm.
he was like, all right, now the next one we are going to go to is this one. So we were just running from street to street trying to find
The different
um
ones, instead of just staying put waiting for all of them to pass by the same spot.
right, cuz we didn't go to the cathedral because that area you have to pay to sit, and it's just more fun when you're in a little tiny street and then you see it
Yeah,
go by.
it is. And when
Yeah.
you, in addition, have inside information, you can run around and just, they're over here, they're over there.
Yeah. So I guess what did you think? Your first impression of Semana Santa? Did it make you emotional? Or were you just like, oh, this is crazy, and you just went about your day?
Both. Like, I didn't start crying as you see some people do, despite that, like, it can be contagious when like a whole movement of people are in a certain mood. I was more baffled seeing how many people participated, both spectators and actual others. And again, coming from a country in a small town where we, except for one day, don't have any parades, it's something special.
Yeah.
You don't even need to go into the details of why they do things. Obviously, it will make it more interesting, but just knowing this is religious, everyone's participating in something that's greater than them.
Mhm.
It's special to see and to experience, even if it's just for a couple of hours one day.
Yeah, I agree. And I do think it's important to note that it's based in the Catholic Church, but I don't feel like it's a religious thing, if that makes sense. It's just
It's
a
more of a
Spanish thing.
culture thing. That's how you see it.
People don't do it because they're religious, they just do it. They love the environment, the ambiance of Semana Santa
Mm.
more than the religious meaning behind it. At least that's how I see it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That would apply to a lot of people.
Because I don't think people here are especially religious. Their religion is more like
A
their
culture.
traditions. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, the people that I hang around, very few of them are religious. I don't know anyone participating in Semana Santa outside of being a spectator. As you said, it's more
Right.
of a social event,
Yeah. It's just something everybody does.
which is nice. We need community, like the death of the small town and fewer people being in religious environments. Like, it, one of the root causes of loneliness, people
Yeah.
just isolating themselves, sitting at home, spending a lot of time on social media, listening to podcasts, although you should still be listening to this one. And maybe that's the
Yes.
beautiful thing for me. It's just people being around each other, participating, being together. For me, okay, have you seen White Lotus
Yes.
season 3?
No.
One person in season 3 is talking about how she is the less successful one out of a friend group. Like, their childhood friends, now they're in their like 40s and 50s. They have had a lot of different conflicts throughout the years, and her big question, why does she speak, what's the value for her, like why should she keep spending time with these people? Like, sometimes it's not worth it, other times it is. And the main core thing, when everything else is stripped away, the value of time spent together, like that in itself, with both the beautiful and the ugly and the messiness, there's a value in being a human being with other human beings, just spending time together. That gets lost when we don't have communities, and the decrease in religious communities as well. You can say good things, bad things, etc., about religious communities, but there's no doubt that there's so many perks of just belonging to something together. So as you
Hmm.
pointed out, many of these participants in the brotherhoods, they're not religious, but they spend time together. I bet a lot of them are not best friends. They might even have Jose, who always acts like a semi-idiot, but he can't help it because he's kind of ignorant, and they accept him because yeah, he's carrying the paso with them. So they're in
Yeah.
this thing together, and when all the Semana Santas has passed by, they spent time together, and it's something beautiful about that.
It's like a bonding experience regardless of the differences. Yeah.
Exactly. Very well said.
The first thing that came to mind when you were explaining that was like, but what if you don't like the people that you're around, you know? And I think nowadays we're just so much, we just want to be around people that think like us. We have no tolerance for people that have different values.
Mhm.
And I think something that the rest of the world could learn from Spain is that just being around each other, and despite having differences, despite maybe not liking each other or
Mhm.
thinking differently about the world, religion, politics, whatever, is really cool. It's something special. And I think that's why Spain is happier than a lot of other places, because they don't hyper focus on, they just care about being a collective group
Yeah,
out in the street.
a hundred
And
percent. There's pros and cons to being more independent, obviously, and a go-getter, and being by yourself sometimes. But man, there's a lot of perks of just being together as well.
I agree. Well, it feels like we're rounding this episode off. Do you have any last thoughts?
Come to
Any more
Spain.
last thoughts?
Yeah, come to Spain, see Semana Santa, and get a good torija.
I highly recommend it. I feel that it's something you should see at least once in your life, even if you're not religious, because I was blown away when I was seeing it in person, but I was looking through photos and videos, sending you things.
I'm
And
gonna look at them afterwards. Yeah.
you didn't look at them?
I was busy. I was working. That's why I was late to this recording. I will look at them afterwards.
That would give you context. So just looking
Hey, I've
through
been to
all,
a Semana Santa before, but yeah.
just looking through the photos and videos, I did feel a little bit emotional about it. It was such a beautiful experience.
Before we round off the podcast, I'm gonna actually watch it on my phone here.
Okay, a live reaction.
A live reaction. Yeah, there's the hoods. And they are underneath the paso. Dude, I need to go back and look at photos from Guatemala to see if the
I
carriers,
think
some
Sevilla
of them
is
are.
unique in that, but maybe, yeah, maybe some places do both. But all the videos I've seen from like Malaga, and who else does it?
Well, purely practically, like they're so big, the
Yes,
pasos I'm looking at now, that maybe they wouldn't be able to just lift them from the side. It would just not be possible. Is this just one brotherhood where everyone's dressed in black, or are there several dressed in black?
no, that was just one.
That was just one, yeah, because I guess you're just shooting video over and over again. So intense with the black cloaks.
And
Is
the
someone
black,
eating there? They're just having a snack underneath the hood. He's eating a sandwich, just chilling. And they have also, those are, yeah, of course, those are the candles that they're holding there. It kind of looks like walking sticks almost because they're so big.
yeah,
Dude, now I want to go to Sevilla. Look at your hermandades.
it's intense. It was a very cool experience. It was just a unique thing to witness.
And again, you had the best guide, so must be cool.
It was very cool.
Do you have any last thoughts?
I have a question. You prefer Semana Santa in Spain, right? Versus Norway.
Well, that's a hard one because if I was in Norway, I would spend time with my family and I would have an Easter egg. But nothing would happen.
Here they don't have Easter eggs.
Yeah, they don't. They do have candy though. They have the torijas and they have the things in the street. So me being a single dude without kids and my family's far away, Semana Santa here is pretty cool.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? Not Sevilla. We'll be talking about Sevilla all the time, but US versus Madrid.
I don't know Semana Santa in Madrid. What I will say is that as an adult, I didn't celebrate Easter. I always worked.
Oh, you always worked. Okay.
So it lost the magic. As a kid, I liked it. It was really fun. But now that I'm an adult, I would say that it's cooler to experience Holy Week, Semana Santa here with all the crazy visual. It's like a visual nightmare. It looks like a scary movie.
Yeah, it kind of does. Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah. So I prefer it here, personally.
Okay, that's a great conclusion.
And I would also like to add that you should follow us if you like this episode. You should follow us if you didn't like this episode.
Really? Okay.
We can try to change your mind.
Yeah.
We have to sell it somehow.
We do. Like, next episode, we will try out more provocative statements. Let's see if we can get people more fired up. Then all the haters will just rush to our podcast, leave hateful comments like, yes, engagement.
Bad engagement's better than none, right?
Yeah, exactly. So follow us. We are on Spotify. We are on Instagram. And of course, we are on YouTube. Spain-ish. That's how you find us.
Yes. Follow us. If you don't like us now, we'll change your mind.
Leave a comment wherever you can leave a comment, and you will get not only one, but 2 answers back. You want to sign us off with a typical adios?
Yes. Adios.
Adios.